I just wanted to follow up on some Startup New York stuff that was already testified to. Currently, college campuses don't have to be public universities, or they don't have to be on state property for Startup New York to apply, correct? Or to apply for, to participate in Startup New York?
That's correct. In other words, most of the space is, if, you know, we have 63 of our 73 schools in the program are SUNY schools, I believe. So in most cases, it is public property because it's a SUNY campus that has empty space or empty buildings. But there are ways to get additional space if your campus doesn't have space, but that's the common approach.
But a private university could apply to be part of Startup New York?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so with this expansion to airports, why is it now limited to just state-owned property, airports like Republic or Stewart?
Well, in the original startup legislation, there was a provision for state facilities, thinking of other state properties that OGS had, or, you know, for example, we've done some prison closures, we do have state assets, and the idea was if a school was, you know, had constraints, public or private, you know, didn't have enough space and wanted to use some space that the state owned, perhaps that might work. They'd have to apply and get it certified. And so the case of these airports, the interesting thing is, yes, it's state owned. There is abundant space available, especially in the case of Stewart. And there is already some economic activity. So do we have colleges and universities that want to take advantage of that and promote more of that economic activity? And honestly, it's up to those schools.
Well, what concerns me is, you know, 5 minutes from my house on Long Island and 20 minutes from Republic Airport is Long Island MacArthur Airport, which is a very big airport on Long Island. It's actually struggling. Now, what would stop the state from wanting to help? That airport has plenty of open space. What would stop the state from wanting to help schools that want to, you know, do something there?
You know, I'd have to look at the. I don't know if the state owns the land under MacArthur Airport.
No, I believe it's, you know, the town of Islip, I believe, owns it.
Right, it's the town.
But I mean, still, just because the town owns it, we should say, you know what? Let's not let them.
You know, I guess I don't know enough about it, but I'm happy to work with you on it. What I would say is, if at MacArthur, and if in the town of Islip, they're interested in leveraging some of their privately owned space, we don't have to go the startup route. We have other ESD programs that we might be able to use to help them. In other words, if startup didn't work, right?
Okay, but I mean, but it seems like the big, you know, push from this administration is Startup New York. That's all the commercials. That's all they say. So, you know, I don't know why we would have MacArthur competing. You know, the idea behind Startup New York was we wouldn't have businesses competing, you know, with similar businesses already in, you know, already around. So why would we have Republic Airport competing with MacArthur Airport and giving them a leg up?
Well, it isn't, you know, I would suggest it isn't actually sort of the competition you typically think about in business, because remember, there's a control in the law that says if a business at MacArthur wanted to move down the road and go to Republic into some tax-free zone, it would frankly be quite hard for them to do that. A couple things would have to happen. It would have to be basically they'd be creating a new, like an expansion as we described before. So they wouldn't be moving their business. Maybe they're creating a new business subsidiary, new company, all new investment, all new jobs. Maybe that works. But there's one last check that's really important here. Whenever a school is, because the schools bring the businesses to us, right? And the process requires that the school does a notification of businesses in the area. So Republic would have to notify all the businesses in the area. And the question is the business that the school is bringing in that case it's Farmingdale, Malloy, I think, is working there. So let's say Malloy says that we want to bring in this business. Is there any local competitor that would object? If a business at Republic says, yeah, I object, because that business from MacArthur's, that's what I do, airplane fuel, then the commissioner denies that. It comes to me and we deny it. It's a control against competition. That's built into the law. And interestingly, already some businesses have thought about going to startup and said, oh, I'll never get approved because the competitor over there won't let me in. And that's correct. That's a control in the law that the local businesses get to say, don't give him tax-free zones or her. That would be tax-free benefits. That would be unfair competition. And then the school can't advance the application.
That's local businesses at Republic, is what you said. Like Republic, the businesses that are there could stop another one from coming in. So but I'm worried about businesses in MacArthur, which you said, yourself would be a tough lift for somebody to go over, but it seems, based on your testimony, there are a lot of the new businesses that are under Startup New York have been expansions from, businesses already going. So I'm worried about people leaving MacArthur and going over to Republic, or people saying, you know what, let's start this new this competing business at Republic, and, all of a sudden I have a new, private airline at Republic, and
not at MacArthur.
Now my one in MacArthur goes down, because they can
Again,
charge less.
it would have to be it would have to be a completely new business with new jobs and new investment, and, to some degree, let's remember, on Long Island, I mean, all over the state, we need that. We need new jobs and we need new investment, and sometimes there might be a rub. I'd hope we could work with those companies and, work with the in that case, MacArthur, and find ways to help them. But at the end of the day, the goal here is, basic. It's jobs, jobs, jobs. We have startup, and we have regional councils, and we have these other programs, Excelsior, as I mentioned, and all of this is, in the end, at least, as of last year, we're down to 5.7% unemployment in New York State, 504,000 new private sector jobs created. I mean, things are going in the right direction. We're not there yet, but these programs are helping.
I'm not saying, stop this new expansion. I'm just saying maybe we could also include other airports. I mean, it doesn't have to be just state-owned, because I think then you're going to cause a problem. You'll have these other people competing. If it's open anywhere, then you let at least the person decide where they want to go, where it's best can fit their business.
Right. That's true. That's true.
So maybe we could, look at that and maybe expand it to other airports as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much.